The survival chamber hummed with the cold breath of manufactured death. Vaylor stood behind the observation glass, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back, his pale blue eyes scanning the readouts with the practiced calm of someone who had administered this test 112 times. 112 times, he had watched candidates from 17 different species enter the chamber. 112 times, he had watched them fail, some within minutes, most within the first hour, a legendary few who had endured nearly 4 hours before the emergency extraction protocols pulled them out in various states of hypothermic collapse. The record, held by a Vreth mountaineer from the ice-clad peaks of Sorn 4, was 4 hours and 19 minutes. Today's candidate was different. Today's candidate was human. Vaylor had read the file. Neria, 23 years old by her planet's rotation cycle, a native of a world the Galactic Survival Registry had officially classified as a Class 7 Deathworld. The classification meant that her home planet actively attempted to kill everything that lived on it, through weather, predators, geological instability, atmospheric variance, and a seasonal cycle that swung between scorching heat and lethal cold within the span of what humans called a single year. The consortium had lobbied hard to ban humans from the Survival Examiner program entirely. Too unpredictable, they said. Too aggressive in their methodology. Vaylor had reviewed those arguments and found them bureaucratically sound and practically irrelevant. His job was to test candidates, not to pre-fail them on paperwork. He had activated the Class 9 Ice Storm protocol at 0600 station time. It was now 0847. Neria was still inside. The chamber was designed to simulate conditions on Caratha's moon, a barren, wind-swept satellite where temperatures plunged to -80 degrees standard, where ice crystals formed in the air itself and cut exposed skin like thrown glass, where the wind moved at speeds that could topple a loaded cargo sled. The Class 9 setting pushed all parameters to maximum, wind at 140 standard kilometers per hour, ambient temperature at -92, ice density elevated to simulate a full atmospheric storm event. No candidate had ever survived past the 2-hour mark on Class 9. The record attempt that had reached 4 hours and 19 minutes had been on Class 6. Vaylor watched the thermal scanners. Neria's body temperature was, he checked the readout twice, then a third time, normal. Her core temperature had not dropped. It had barely fluctuated at all. Her heart rate was elevated, consistent with physical exertion, but stable. Her movement patterns, tracked by the chamber's internal sensors, showed her moving deliberately, not panicked, not stumbling, not conserving stillness the way most candidates did when the cold became unbearable. She was moving around. Vaylor leaned forward. In large Sector 4 feed. The screen expanded to show a corner of the chamber where a cluster of ice formations had built up against the chamber wall. Neria was there. She had, and Vaylor required a full 5 seconds to process this, built something. Using broken sections of the emergency marker poles that lined the chamber walls, materials that were placed there for candidates to signal distress, she had constructed a low windbreak. It was crude. It was angled precisely to deflect the dominant wind current. Behind it, she had gathered the silver thermal sheeting from the emergency kit, a kit intended to be used as a last resort, a wrap-yourself-and-wait-for-extraction measure, and fashioned it into an enclosed pocket that reflected her own body heat back at her. She was sitting inside a shelter she had built from the test's own safety equipment. She was also, Vaylor magnified the feed further, eating something. He opened the chamber comm channel. Candidate Neria. Please confirm your current status. A pause. Wind howled on the audio feed. Then her voice came through, slightly muffled, entirely calm. Good. A little bored. Do these things have snacks? I didn't eat before I came in and I'm starting to think that was a planning failure on my part. Vaylor stared at his communication panel for a long moment. The chamber does not have snacks, he said carefully. What are you currently consuming? Another pause. Energy gel. I had 3 in my jacket pocket. Standard kit, I carry them during field work back home. I've got one left. I was hoping the chamber might have something, though. A vending unit, maybe. Or even just a protein bar dispensary. You know, for morale. The chamber, Vaylor said, with the measured patience of someone trying very hard to remain professional, is a survival test designed to assess a candidate's ability to endure extreme environmental conditions. It is not typically furnished with refreshment options. That seems like an oversight, Neria said. If you're testing survival skills, hunger is a survival factor. You're not getting the full picture. Vaylor did not have an immediate answer for that. He pulled up her file again. Born in a region of her planet that experienced a phenomenon her species called winter, a seasonal temperature drop that, by galactic standards, classified as a moderate environmental hazard. Moderate, on a Class 7 Deathworld, meant merely capable of killing the unprepared. She had grown up in this. Not as extreme as the Chamber's Class 9 settings, but the file noted she had completed her species' voluntary military survival training program, a program that included a 72-hour cold weather endurance exercise with minimal equipment. She had finished in the top 4% of her cohort. Vaylor checked the timestamp. 3 hours and 41 minutes. She was going to break the record. He was watching it happen in real time, and she was complaining about snack availability. Candidate Neria, he said, are you experiencing any physical distress? My fingers are a bit numb, she admitted. I've been doing hand exercises every 20 minutes. The windbreak helps a lot, the direct wind exposure was the main issue. Once I cut that down, the temperature became manageable. Cold is cold, but wind chill is the real killer. Back home we have a saying, dress for the wind, not the weather. It's good advice. Where did you learn to construct that shelter configuration? A short, slightly amused silence. My grandmother taught me. We got caught in a blizzard during a hiking trip when I was 9. She built something similar out of fallen branches and a rain tarp. We waited it out for about 6 hours. She made hot tea on a camp stove she had in her pack. Another pause. That's actually where I started wishing this place had refreshments. This situation is very similar and tea would be amazing right now. Vaylor sat back in his chair. He had administered this test 112 times. In 112 administrations, he had never once been asked about tea. At 4 hours and 22 minutes, he noted in the official log, candidate Neria of Earth voluntarily ended her test attempt, not due to physiological failure, not due to emergency extraction, but because, in her own words transmitted over the chamber calm, I'm out of energy gel and I'm genuinely hungry now, and I think I've made my point. She had exceeded the previous record by 3 minutes. She walked out of the chamber under her own power, cheeks pink, jacket frost-dusted, and looked at Vaylor with an expression of mild but sincere hopefulness. Please tell me there's a cafeteria nearby, she said. Vaylor, survival examiner, 17-year veteran of the Galactic Assessment Corps, recorder of 113 administered tests and now the sole witness to the complete, utter, and thoroughly casual destruction of every benchmark the Class 9 protocol had ever produced, looked at the human standing in front of him. There is, he said. I will take you there myself. He decided, as they walked, that he would also be filing a formal request with the consortium to furnish the observation suite with a small snack dispensary. For morale. It seemed like an obvious oversight.